The History of Money Series, Episode 3. Number. How did banks become one of the most powerful systems in the world? Introduction. Imagine this. There are giant vaults somewhere in the world. People place all their gold, money, and wealth inside them. And over time, the people controlling those vaults become so powerful, sometimes even more powerful than kings. Today, almost everyone uses banks. Salaries, credit cards, loans, money transfers. A huge part of our lives passes through banks every single day. But the original purpose of banks was actually much simpler. People just wanted a safe place to store their money. So what happened? How did banks become one of the most powerful systems on Earth? In this video, we'll talk about the birth of banking, the creation of interest, and how the modern financial system was built. Let's begin. 1. The first banks. The first banking systems actually appeared thousands of years ago. In ancient civilizations, people stored valuable items inside temples, because temples were considered safe places. Nobody wanted to attack sacred buildings. Over time, merchants and wealthy people started leaving their gold there. Later, goldsmiths created a similar system. People deposited their gold with goldsmiths and received a document in return. Eventually, those documents started being used like money, because people no longer wanted to carry heavy gold everywhere. And that's how the foundations of banking were created. 2. Why did people trust banks? The biggest reason people trusted banks was fear. Keeping gold at home was dangerous. There were thieves, fires, wars. Banks offered protection. Thick walls, vaults, armed guards. Over time, people started thinking, my money is safer here. And as banks grew larger, trust grew with them. People were no longer just storing wealth. Banks became part of everyday life. This is where the system truly started gaining power. 3. The birth of interest. Over time, banks realized something important. Not everyone came to withdraw their money at the same time. For example, a bank might hold gold for 100 different people, but maybe only 5 people would come to take their money back on the same day. So banks started thinking, we can lend some of this money to other people. And that's how the loan system was born. But banks wanted extra payment in return. That extra payment became known as interest. For example, you borrow 100 gold coins, but later you repay 110. That extra 10 coins is interest. And over time, this system became incredibly powerful, because banks were no longer just storing money. They were making money from money itself. 4. The rise of banking power. As banks became larger, they started competing with governments themselves. Even kings borrowed money from banks during wars. Entire countries depended on banks to keep their economies running. Banks were no longer simple storage places. They became giant financial powers that could influence economies. Interest rates, loans, debt. All of these things started shaping people's lives. And eventually, the modern financial system was created. Even today, banks remain at the center of the global economy. 5. The modern financial system. Today, banks are everywhere. You receive your salary through a bank. You use cards. You make online payments. Most of the time, you don't even see physical money anymore, because the modern system has become almost completely digital. But here's the interesting part. This massive system originally started because people simply wanted a safe place to store their gold. A small idea that eventually became one of the most powerful economic systems in human history. Ending. So the original purpose of banks was security. But over time, banks became far more than places to store money. Today, they are among the most powerful forces in the world economy. and much of the modern world is built on their system. In the next episode, we'll talk about this. Why was money tied to gold? And how did the gold standard control the global economy? If you want to continue the series, don't miss the next episodes.